Hi, I'm Melissa with Mix in Some Magic. I'm a Disney planning expert and I'm here to mix a little magic into your day. Each week I share Disney vacation planning tips, park strategies, and a little bit of Disney history sprinkled in. Of course, I like to include lots of Disney magic. Join me, let's mix in some magic. Hello everyone and welcome back to Mix in Some Magic. I'm Melissa and today we are diving into the latest Disneyland news and rumors, and oh my goodness, there is a lot to talk about. But before we get to things like gondolas possibly coming to Disneyland or Rapunzel's tower popping up in Storybook Land, we've got to start with some big headlines that everyone's buzzing about because Disneyland just raised their ticket prices again. Not just Disneyland, Disney World. Yeah, it's that time of year. Prices went up on Disneyland tickets, park hoppers, Lightning Lane multi-passes, all in one swoop. And it's always kind of painful when this happens, right? Because it's not just a few dollars here or there anymore. These price changes really add up, especially for families. But before you panic and start texting your group chat about canceling your trip, I actually have some good news for you. You can still get the old prices, but only for a limited time. So let's talk about what that means, what the deadline is, and how you can make sure you're locking in the lowest rates for your Disneyland vacation or even your Disney World vacation. So here's what's going on. Disneyland quietly rolled out new ticket prices earlier this week, and that includes every major ticket type: one-day ticket, multi-day tickets, park hopper add-ons, Lightning Lane multi-pass. It all went up, even parking, and it's pretty typical for Disney to do this around early October. Historically, that's when the price increases roll out, and once those new rates hit, they don't go back down. It's not like Disney has ever said, hey, this year we're going to lower ticket prices. I mean, it would be amazing, but I don't think it will ever happen. We have seen the same pattern for years now. Every fall, right before the holidays, then the prices jump, and it makes sense from a business standpoint. It's right before the holiday rush when people start planning next year's trips and Disney knows demand is about to spike. Now, I know a price increase isn't the most magical news to start with, but there is a silver lining. If you act fast, you can still get tickets at the old lower price for a very short window of time. Getaway Today, my longtime travel partner, is honoring the old ticket price for the next little while. That means right now you can buy your Disneyland tickets and Lightning Lane multi-passes at the pre-increased rate and save anywhere from $18 to over $100 per adult ticket, depending on the length and the type of the ticket you choose. And that's a big deal. So if you've even thought about going to Disneyland this year, next year, or anytime through early 2027, this is your chance to lock in those lower prices before they disappear. Here's how it works, because I know people always have questions about this part. When you buy through Getaway Today, your tickets are valid for travel now through January 12th, 2027. The first day of use just has to be by December 31st of 2026. So you can buy now, lock in the old pricing, and use them later, even a year or more later down the road, as long as you're within those dates. And you don't have to know your exact travel dates either. When you are buying your tickets through Getaway Today, they do ask for your travel date, but this is just a general date so that Getaway Today can send you emails and remind you to book your park reservations and about your trip and things like that. So you don't have to know your exact travel dates. You can just enter a general date and it's not locked in. You're not set and have to stick to that date. You can change it whenever you want. So don't stress about that. I would just pick when you think you'll go, and then you can finalize your plans later on. Now, if you have already bought your tickets through Getaway Today and you paid in full, then great news, you've already locked in the lowest price, so you don't need to do anything. If you are wanting to upgrade your tickets to include Lightning Lane multi-pass, while you can still get that lower Lightning Lane rate, then you can do that right now too. Now, a few things that make Getaway Today's tickets so easy to recommend is I've been using them for 20 years. I love them. They're a family-owned company and they really care about your vacation. Plus, they're refundable within 365 days of purchase. They have no blockout dates. You do have to make park reservations, but their tickets aren't blocked out. And you can make your Disneyland reservations up to 180 days in advance. The only small catch is that layaway plans are temporarily unavailable for those lower price tickets because they have to be paid in full before Getaway Today can send them out. And that's happening in just a few days when Disney's going to cut them off and say, okay, you can't sell tickets at the lower price anymore. But honestly, it's worth it, especially since this is a rare chance to beat the price hike after Disney has already raised rates. So if you go to Disneyland's website, you're going to pay the higher rate. Tickets aren't going to be refundable if you change your mind or someone gets sick or something like that. Too bad for you. Disney doesn't really care, but Getaway Today does. I am planning a big family trip to Disneyland next year. It will be my grandson's first visit, and I am so excited. And by getting tickets now, I did the math, and I will save over $700, $777 to be exact. So almost $800 saved. And that's a big deal. This is the lowest Disneyland tickets will ever be again. So if you want to grab those tickets, use the link below to make sure you get the best rates, or call 855-GETAWAY and tell them that Melissa from Mix and Some Magic sent you. This window only lasts until Monday, October 20th, 2025, and after that, prices officially switch over to the new higher rates. Every year when this happens and there's a huge rush of people trying to buy tickets before the deadline, it's kind of like Black Friday, but for Disney fans. And this year's old prices are actually better than what we will see on Black Friday. So I'm not joking when I say this is the lowest that prices will ever be again. And what if something crazy happened? Like early next year, Disney does a huge sale on tickets and the price you paid is more than what the sale price is. Guess what? Getaway Today never penalizes you for booking early, so they will refund you the difference. Disney doesn't do that. If you buy tickets on their website and then they announce a sale, too bad for you. But Getaway Today doesn't penalize you for booking early and they will refund you the difference, which is amazing. I don't see that happening right now. I mean, Disney having a sale that's better than these prices, but it's just peace of mind knowing that if for some crazy reason that did happen, you're still going to be able to get the very, very lowest price. If you're planning a Disneyland trip anytime soon, don't wait. You can save up to $111 per adult ticket, which could easily cover snacks and merchandise or even an extra park day. And if you are planning a Walt Disney World trip instead, the same principle applies. You can still lock in lower pricing through my travel partners for a limited time. It's a great way to stretch your vacation budget and keep a little more magic in your wallet, but you do need to use my link below or mention me when you call to make sure you're getting the best deal. That number again is 855-GETAWAY. So yes, Disney raised their prices again, but if you act quickly, you can still beat the increase. I'm going to put all the details and that link in the show notes so that you don't have to hunt it down. So go check that out. But while we are on the topic of tickets, California residents have another deal to look forward to. It's times like this, I wish I kind of lived in California. Starting December 3rd, 2025, Disneyland will release a new 3-day park hopper ticket exclusively for California residents for just $249 total, which is about $83 per day. Those tickets are awesome because they can be used on non-consecutive days between January 1st and May 21st, 2026, but you still will need a park reservation. You can even add Lightning Lane Multipass if you'd like, but honestly, just having 3 flexible park days at that price is incredible. So if you live in California, mark your calendar for December 3rd. Those tickets always go fast. My travel partners will also have the best rates for those tickets when they drop. All right, let's switch gears because as much as we love saving money, there are some very interesting things happening around Disneyland right now that have everyone talking. From construction updates to some wild new transportation rumors. Could gondolas really be coming to Disneyland? Let's get into it. There is a rumor floating around, or should I say flying around, that has Disneyland fans buzzing. Gondolas might be coming to Disneyland. So the city of Anaheim is reportedly exploring a gondola system that would connect major points of interest around the resort area. And that would, of course, include Disneyland Resort itself. Now, before anyone pictures a bunch of Skyliner cabins soaring over Main Street, let's break down what's real and what's rumor and what this could actually mean for the future transportation to and from Disneyland. So here's where this all started. The city of Anaheim, not Disney, has been studying potential ways to ease traffic congestion and improve connectivity between some of the city's biggest attractions and hotels. And one of the options being tossed around is an aerial gondola system. The idea would be to create a network that connects key tourism spots like the Disneyland Resort, the Anaheim Convention Center, Angel Stadium, and maybe even the Honda Center, and kind of be like a public transit system in the sky. And while Disney isn't the one proposing this, at least not yet, the plan could potentially intersect with Disneyland's property, meaning that if Anaheim moves forward, then Disney would have a pretty big say in how it's implemented. If you've been to Walt Disney World, then this might sound familiar because over in Florida, Disney launched the Disney Skyliner back in 2019, and that's a gondola system that connects several resorts with Epcot and Hollywood Studios. Now, at the time they created it, then it was like a really bold move, and people weren't sure how it would go. But the Skyliner has become one of Disney World's most beloved transportation options. It's scenic, it's efficient, and it is a lot more fun than waiting for a bus in the Florida humidity. So naturally, when word got out that Anaheim was looking at gondolas, then Disney fans immediately said, oh, we're getting a Skyliner at Disneyland too. And honestly, it's not impossible, but let's talk about how something like this would actually look in Anaheim. If you have ever stayed at a Harbor Boulevard hotel or taken a shuttle from the Toy Story lot, then you know that area gets busy. Traffic is always heavy, parking fills up early, and even walking across intersections can take a while during peak times. But a gondola system could, in theory, connect places like the Toy Story parking lot, the Anaheim Convention Center, the Disneyland Resort, Downtown Disney, and maybe even Angel Stadium or the Arctic Station where the train lines come in. And this would be a huge advantage for visitors, especially those staying off property or coming in from train or ride shares. It could make getting to Disneyland a lot smoother and maybe even a little more magical if it's well themed. But that's where things get tricky because Disneyland is surrounded by city infrastructure and hotels and neighborhoods, and the airspace is limited, and building an aerial system that crosses private property and roads and utilities isn't as simple as just throwing up a few towers. And let's be real, Anaheim isn't Florida. Disneyland's footprint is much smaller, and every inch of space is basically already being used or spoken for. And so there's not much room to add tall gondola towers without disrupting something. There's also the issue of height restrictions because Anaheim has strict limits for structures in certain zones, especially near residential areas. There's also the issue of visual intrusion because some people in the area might not love having gondola lines running over their hotels or parking lots or houses. And if the city builds it, then who maintains it? Who pays for it? And how would it connect to Disney's transportation and security zones? Those are all big questions that don't have answers yet. So as exciting as this sounds, it's important to remember that this isn't a Disney-built project, at least not yet. And right now it's still firmly in the Anaheim study phase. But it's still worth paying attention to because Disney and Anaheim have a long history of collaboration. Whenever the city moves on something that affects the resort area, then Disney's almost always a part of that discussion. And with DisneylandForward now approved, which is Disneyland's massive expansion and rezoning plan, it's clear that both sides are thinking big. So if the city of Anaheim does move forward with a gondola system, I'd be very surprised if Disney didn't explore how to tie it in. Imagine being able to park at Toy Story, hop on a gondola, and glide right into the new entry plaza near downtown Disney. It would completely change how guests arrive and move around the resort. And honestly, if anyone knows how to make the gondola system fun and efficient, then it's Disney. It could be so amazing. For anyone who's experienced the Skyliner in Florida, you know that quiet glide above the resort is one of the most peaceful moments of your trip. Imagine floating over Harbor Boulevard, seeing the Matterhorn in the distance, and starting your Disney day that way. Tell me you wouldn't love that. Now, I don't want to burst your bubble completely because I do think this could happen down the road, but right now it's still very much an idea. There are no official permits filed for the gondola route connected directly to Disneyland property, and I'm still just reviewing various transit options. But these studies tend to plant seeds, and with Disneyland Forward moving ahead and Disney's expansion plans taking shape, this could be one of those ideas that feels far-fetched now, but becomes a reality a few years from now. If nothing else, it shows that Anaheim and Disney are both thinking long-term about how to move people in and out of the resort, and with crowds growing every year, they'll need new transportation options eventually. So bottom line, gondolas at Disneyland aren't confirmed, but they're definitely being talked about, and it's not as wild as it sounds. If Anaheim greenlights the project and Disney decides to play along, we could someday see a mini Skyliner gliding across the resort. And personally, I'd be first in line to ride it. Oh, it would be amazing. And speaking of transportation and big changes to how people move around the resort, we've got our first real progress on Disneyland Forward. So Disneyland has officially filed the first construction permit tied to the Disneyland Forward expansion plan. If you're not familiar, Disneyland Forward is Disney's long-term vision to expand the resort. So they're talking about adding new lands and attractions and completely reimagining how guests enter and move between the parks. And until now, it's mostly been talked about and concept art, but recently Disney filed a permit for early site work on the new east side parking structure and pedestrian bridge near Harbor Boulevard right across from the main entrance area. The permit itself covers basic groundwork, things like fencing, grading, and prep work, but this is how every big project begins. It also mentioned that this will eventually connect to a new transportation hub on the east side, something Disney's been planning for years as part of a more streamlined arrival experience. Think a dedicated parking area, bus zones, and pedestrian access straight into the Esplanade. It's going to be amazing. The best part is it lines up perfectly with Anaheim's own push for better resort access, including that rumored gondola system we just talked about. So construction isn't expected to start until fall of 2026, but this is the first real sign that things are moving from concept to reality. So while we might not see cranes or concrete anytime soon, this is the first domino falling in what could be a massive multi-year transformation of the resort. And it's one of those behind-the-scene things that might not feel flashy right now, but in a few years when we're walking through a brand new entrance plaza or parking garage, then we'll be able to say, this is where it all started. Between this and Anaheim's potential gondola plan, it's pretty clear that both sides are gearing up for the future. So, yeah, the Disneyland of 2030 might look very different when it comes to how we arrive and move through the parks. Okay, let's come back down to earth and take a trip to Fantasyland because this next update is one of those things that just makes me smile. It's official. Rapunzel's Tower is coming to the Storybook Land Canal Boats at Disneyland. I know there has been talk about this for a while, but Disney has now confirmed it and we finally have some details. And honestly, it is one of those additions that fits so perfectly, you'll wonder why it wasn't there all along. Okay, so for anyone who hasn't ridden in Storybook Land Canal Boats in a while, it's this charming little boat ride in Fantasyland where you sail past miniature scenes from classic Disney films. Everything from Cinderella's castle to the Sultan's palace from Aladdin to Frozen's Arendelle. And it's this peaceful, nostalgic attraction that has been around since 1956. And what I love about it is how it quietly evolves. Disney will go years without changing anything, and then suddenly, boom, there's a new scene that appears that makes the whole attraction feel fresh again. And it has happened several times. Frozen was added in 2014, and before that, Aladdin came during the 90s. So adding Tangled to the lineup just makes sense. Here's what we know from the most recent updates. Rapunzel's tower will be placed between the Patchwork Quilt Hills and Toad Hall. It's going to be a miniature version of her tower from Tangled, complete with the ivy-colored stone base, the purple roofed turret, and those little glowing windows that make it look like something straight out of a fairy tale. And Disney isn't just like plopping down a tower and calling it good. They're going all in with the theming. They're adding wanted posters for Flynn Rider, a small dock with a Tangled-inspired boat, and my favorite part, they are even adding music cues from the film. So during the day, you'll hear When Will My Life Begin playing softly as you pass by, and then beginning at dusk, the music will shift to I See the Light. How cute is that? Honestly, I think this might be one of the best additions that Storybook Land has had in a long time. I mean, it's the only edition they've had in a long time, but I think it might be better than the Frozen edition. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Tangled has become one of those movies that Disney fans of all ages love. It's modern and it's funny and the music is great and visually it fits perfectly with the Fantasyland storybook aesthetic. And the idea that the music actually changes with the time of day, that's the kind of little storytelling detail that Disney does so well. It's subtle, but it makes the experience feel alive, like the world of Tangled really exists inside the attraction. Plus, the Tangled lantern scene is such an iconic visual, so if they find a way to incorporate the soft lighting or like a nighttime glow from the tower windows, it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Now, as far as timing goes, Storybook Land Canal Boats has been closed for refurbishment recently, and I think this new addition is part of that work. Construction walls have been up around parts of Fantasyland for a while, but rumor has it that the project is entering its finishing stages. So while Disney hasn't given us an official opening date yet, it looks like the Rapunzel tower scene could be completed very soon, possibly in time for the holiday season or early next year. This addition might seem small because it's literally a miniature, but it's actually a part of a bigger trend we're seeing at Disneyland. Disney is really leaning into updating classic attractions in a way that feels respectful but fresh. So they're not tearing out beloved rides, they're adding new magic within them. We've seen this with the Snow White update and the Haunted Mansion queue expansion area. They're kind of reinventions that build on the nostalgia instead of replacing it. And that's exactly what Rapunzel's tower will do for Storybook Land Canal Boats. It brings a newer generation of Disney storytelling while keeping the heart of the attraction the same. Now, this has me speculating, but if Tangled is getting the Storybook Land treatment, then what's next? Could we see scenes from Encanto someday, or Moana, or maybe the tiny Coco Village glowing at night? It wouldn't surprise me. Storybook Land has such an easy way for Disney to keep adding modern classics without needing major new rides or massive construction budgets. A few new miniatures here and there, and suddenly the whole attraction feels new again. And if they ever add an Encanto casita with moving windows and glowing flowers, then I'm calling it now. People are going to lose their minds over it. It would be amazing. Next, we have to talk about the fairy godmother coming to the Bibbidi Bobbidi boutique experience. And this was speculation for a while, but not anymore because Disney has confirmed that she will be joining the makeover experience at both Disneyland and Walt Disney World. So Disney announced updates to the boutique. They're going to be simplifying the makeover packages and officially adding the fairy godmother meet and greet as part of the experience. So cast members are also getting new fairy godmother inspired costumes, which fit perfectly with the refreshed theming. So soon, when a child steps into their royal makeover, like the hair, nails, costume, the works, now the fairy godmother herself might appear to add an extra sprinkle of pixie dust. And this is huge for fans and families and the storytelling side of Disney. For one, it just makes the experience feel more immersive. It's not just about hair and makeup anymore. It's about becoming part of the fairy tale. And with the new costumes and the refreshed look for fairy godmothers in training, it's clear that Disney's putting effort into making this feel like a genuine upgrade and not just a tweak. And I think having the fairy godmother there ties it all back into the heart of what makes these transformations feel so special. That feeling that the magic is real, even if it's just for a little while. Of course, we'll have to wait and see exactly how her appearances work because I haven't heard that yet. Like, will the fairy godmother walk through the boutique in person? Or will she appear through some kind of magical reveal or projection, or maybe a mix of both? Will she visit every makeover, or will only certain packages include a longer interaction? And what about photo ops? Will there be like a keepsake moment tied to her visit? I have no idea. These are the kinds of details Disney loves to surprise us with, and I can't wait to see how they pull it off. I absolutely love this direction. It's pure storytelling, it's full of heart, and it's exactly the kind of Disney magic that never goes out of style, and it's supposed to be starting any day now, so Fairy Godmother should be there very soon. All right, let's step outside the parks for a second because there's some seriously exciting news for all my fellow Disney foodies. World-famous chef Gordon Ramsay is officially opening a brand new restaurant in downtown Disney. Yes, like that Gordon Ramsay. The culinary legend himself is bringing a little British flair to the Disneyland resort, and it's already shaping up to be one of the biggest additions to the dining scene in years. The new spot is called Gordon Ramsay at the Carnaby, and it's going to be a stylish British gastro pub inspired by the 1960s London. So think Carnaby Street, bold colors, and a touch of rock and roll energy. The restaurant will seat about 175 guests and feature indoor dining, outdoor terraces, and a central bar, all with the kind of design flair that you'd expect from Gordon Ramsay's team. And the menu will spotlight British classics like beef Wellington, fish and chips, and sticky toffee pudding, along with a curated cocktail list and a strong focus on presentation. Disney says the vibes will capture the look and feel of 1960s London with pop art, lush textures, and music from the Beatles and the Rolling Stones setting the mood. So it sounds like it's not just going to be a restaurant, it's going to be a total experience. And this marks Gordon Ramsay's first ever restaurant inside a Disney property, and that's pretty huge. It fits perfectly with the direction that Disney's been taking downtown Disney lately. They've been bringing in high-profile chefs and unique dining experiences to make the district a destination on its own, not just a place to grab dinner after a park day. And if you've walked through downtown Disney recently, you've probably noticed a big transformation already underway, with the Parkside Market added, and their reimagined Jazz Kitchen and Din Tai Fung, and now the Carnaby. It's all part of Disney's plan to turn the area into a true culinary hub. Ramsay's restaurant is expected to open sometime in 2026, although no official date has been announced yet. If you have ever eaten at one of Ramsay's other restaurants, like Hell's Kitchen in Las Vegas, then you'll know that the food is top-notch, but the energy is just as much part of the experience. Disney has hinted that the Carnaby will lean into that lively atmosphere with live music and late-night entertainment, making it one of the few spots in downtown Disney that'll stay buzzing even after the parks close. I think it sounds like the perfect date night or adults-only dinner after a day in the park. And if you're a foodie like me, you're probably already making your mental list of what you're going to order first. And for me, it's the beef Wellington. Every single time. All right, now that we've talked about food and made ourselves hungry, let's talk about what's next for Disneyland as a whole. Because the holidays are coming fast and this year's lineup looks amazing. Let's talk about what you can expect for the holidays at Disneyland. When they start, what's coming back, and what's new for this year. I say this every single year, but truly, there is nothing quite like Disneyland during the holidays. The decoration, the food, the entertainment, the music, the entire park just feels different. You can walk in and instantly it's like stepping into your own Hallmark movie, except with churros. And the best part is the holiday season at Disneyland is just around the corner. The holidays officially kick off at the Disneyland Resort on November 14th, 2025, and they will run all the way through January 6th, 2026. So that gives you about 8 full weeks of twinkling lights and parades and cozy treats and holiday overlays on some of your favorite attractions. If you've never visited Disneyland during this time, it's honestly one of the best seasons to experience the park, and not just because it's beautiful, it's also when Disneyland layers on extra magic through entertainment and music and storytelling, and every land gets something special, and you will see it the moment you walk in. Let's start with Main Street USA, because this is probably my favorite place during the holidays. Oh, can I say that? I don't know, probably. It's just where the holiday spirit really hits you, because as soon as you walk under the train station tunnel, you'll be greeted by the smell of gingerbread and the sound of Christmas music, and my personal favorite, the massive Christmas tree in Town Square. The tree stands about 60 feet tall. It's decked out with thousands of ornaments and over 1,800 multicolored lights. It is for sure the centerpiece of the holidays at Disneyland. And every night you can watch Believe in Holiday Magic, the fireworks show right by the castle or there on Main Street. And it's got the snow falling. It's just classic and emotional and beautiful and the perfect way to end your day. Now, another thing I love about the holiday season at Disneyland is they don't just decorate, they transform entire rides. Over in New Orleans Square, Haunted Mansion has the holiday overlay featuring Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas, and that's still going to go strong all the way through early January. It's one of those like you can't miss experiences. It's like half Halloween, half Christmas, all weird and chaos in the best way possible. Then in Fantasyland, It's a Small World Holiday is back, and it's beautiful. So amazing. The exterior is covered in over 50,000 lights, and inside every scene is reimagined with a mix of global holiday traditions and scents. You can smell different scents on It's a Small World Holiday. Then over at Cars Land in Disney California Adventure, the residents of Radiator Springs go all out for the holidays. Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters turns into Luigi's Joy to the Whirl, and Mater's Junkyard Jamboree becomes Mater's Jingle Jamboree. The land is filled with car park Christmas trees and wreaths made from tires, and music that is just so fun and charming. You're going to have it stuck in your head for days. Also in California Adventure, they've really leaned into celebrating cultures and traditions from around the world, and I love it so much. Viva Navidad is back again this year in Paradise Gardens Park, hosted by the three Caballeros, Donald Duck, Panchito, and Jose. There's live music and dancers and giant puppets and just so much color and energy. If you haven't seen it before, make sure to stop by. It's easily one of the most joyful, high-energy places in the resort. Plus, the Festival of Holidays returns too. They're going to have food booths from around the world, everything from tamales to latkes and warm holiday drinks. It's going to be delicious. You can also meet Santa Claus in both parks, so don't miss that. Now, we don't have a holiday foodie guide yet. It should be coming in the next few weeks. So as soon as we have it, I will let you know, because there's going to be some yummy stuff on there. I already know. But we do know that several restaurants around the resort are offering special holiday dining experiences. Over at the Grand Californian, they'll have Mickey's Christmas Carol Feast and Daisy's Holiday Pajama Party, both running from November 17th through January 6th. And if you happen to be visiting on Thanksgiving Day, then hotels will have special brunch and dinner buffets with all the holiday classics like the turkey and stuffing and pies, the works. But you'll also be able to get a lot of that stuff at the sit-down places inside the parks. If you are planning a visit for the holidays, book early, because these dining events fill up fast, and they do make the trip extra special if you're celebrating something, or even extra special if you're not and just want some extra holiday magic. Now, before we wrap up the holiday talk, I know a lot of you have been asking about Paint the Night and whether it will be running during the holidays this year. And here's what we know. Paint the Night officially returned to the Disneyland Park earlier this year as part of the 70th anniversary celebration, and it has been such a welcome comeback. It's one of my absolute favorite parades, and the music and the lights and the nostalgia. It's like pure happiness. But here is the catch. Paint the Night is taking a short break during the holiday season. The parade will pause while Disney's Christmas Fantasy Parade takes over, And then once the holiday season ends in early January, Paint the Night will return to the schedule as part of the ongoing 70th anniversary celebration. Now, every single time that I'm at Disneyland when the holidays are happening, then I just think about how special it is that Disneyland can take something so familiar like a tree or a wreath or a string of lights and somehow make it feel like extra magical. And it's not just the decorations or the fireworks or even the snow, it's just that feeling of joy that fills the park. The way that strangers smile at each other, or the way that you like wave to other guests when you're on the train, or when cast members go out of their way to make moments feel special. I don't know. It just feels like there's more of that happening in the parks during the holiday season. It's just like joy Disney style. So if you've never been to Disneyland during the holidays, go. Even once, you'll never forget it. And if you're going this year, then I'd love to hear what you're most excited for. The food, the parades, the lights, or maybe just that first glimpse of Main Street all lit up. Oh, it's so much fun. Let me know in the comments or over on Instagram at Mixin' Some Magic. Okay, we have covered a lot today. The holidays, ticket updates, gondolas, Rapunzel, all kinds of stuff. Make sure you subscribe or follow so you don't miss my next episode. I will be diving into some very interesting Disneyland rumors for 2026 coming up, and a few early predictions about what we could see with Disneyland Forward. And as always, if you are planning your own Disney vacation, you can find my link for discounted tickets and hotels in the description or show notes, or call 855-GETAWAY and tell them Melissa from Mixin' Some Magic sent you. I'll be back next week for Patreon members, and I'll see everyone else in 2 weeks. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.